if you have a question in training or something like this, you don't hesitate to ask. Like, you can always learn. I'm still learning now, and I'm 31. Everyone says that we're all different kind of breed, and it's true, because we're kind of a bit of like a lone wolf, lone soldier at the back there. If you make a mistake, it will cost the team a goal. Just play as many games as possible, and just enjoy it, really. Yeah, you have to learn your weaknesses, otherwise you don't get better. And the better level that you play at, you naturally get better anyway, because the strikers are better, the midfielders are better, the movement's better. But for me, I have a desire to play at the highest level I can possibly go, and for me, that's to play in the Football League. If you want to be a keeper, you've got to be mentally tough from the start anyway.
So, welcome to the third episode of Keeping It Out the Net. I'm really excited for this one because not only is it my first in-person goalkeeping interview, and we've got a big guest here today. We're here in Portsmouth, we've got loads of good questions to ask. Today's guest has played for teams like Havant and Waterlooville, Gosport Borough, Ebbsfleet United, and more recently Boreham Wood Football Club. And he's been described as the best goalkeeper in the non-league. I'm so excited. I shared some time with him when I was at Ebbsfleet under-19s and got to briefly know him there, saw him get promoted with Ebbsfleet. So I'm really excited to say I'm here today and joined by Nathan Ashmore. Thanks for coming, Nathan.
How you doing, mate? You okay? You all right?
Really good.
Yeah, pleasure, mate, pleasure.
So obviously I've just said us a couple of the clubs you're at, and obviously you've had a hell of a career, but take me back to what got you into goalkeeping in the first place, and then maybe a couple of the big highlights of your career.
I've been playing football since as early as I can remember, really. Mum was very pushy, like nothing like you need to do this, you need to do that, but she was very helpful at a young age when I realised I wanted to play football. And then as soon as I wanted to play in goal, she was very supportive of me, and she tried to do everything in her power for me to get what I needed, like gloves, boots, because it's not as back in the 90s, mate, or even like when you're really young, no one really wants to be a keeper, do they? No. It's like one of those ones. It's always like,
because it's so hard.
Yeah. It is hard. You're right, but like no one wants to go in goal. Like when you get picked in your school line and stuff. Like when you used to play at school, no one used to go in goal and used to always shove like the worst player in goal, whatever it was. But I used to thrive on it, and I realised that at a young age, luckily, really, that I really enjoyed it. And watching keepers like Peter Schmeichel when I was younger, when he was at his prime at United, it really inspired me to, that's what I want to be.
Yeah, definitely. And what would you say, I know you've played at Wembley with Gosport, I believe, you've had the promotion with Ebbsfleet. Are they sort of the highlights of your career? Are there some other highlights?
I've got a few, mate, to be fair. Like, I've had so many ups and downs in football, but that's part of it. But yeah, so like I said, I didn't really have a good time at Havant. Fair enough, I learnt the trade of football and money side of football, which was you need to find out, and I learnt that at a young age. So I think my first ever success in football is I was playing for a team just not round over there, actually. Okay. United Services. I was 16 at the time. I played for them when I was 15, so I was playing for a men's team at a really early age, and we somehow got through to the Hampshire Senior Cup semi-final. And that was big for us because we're one of the lowest ranked teams to enter that, and it's quite an old school, like, historic cup around this area, and we don't get paid. We still had to pay £5 to play. Yeah. So for us to get to the semi-final, and I was only 16 at the time, it was quite a really good career highlight of mine, especially at an early age. I've had some promotions with Gosport. We got back-to-back promotions, and then we made the trip to Wembley. Shame that we lost, but to say that you play at Wembley is
not everyone can say that.
Yeah, not everyone can say that, mate. But hopefully you can play there again, mate, and actually get a win. Like you said, I've got promoted with Ebbsfleet, which was a really good season for us. I don't know how we finished second. Maidenhead play unbelievable that season. I think we finished a point behind them on 96 points or something stupid like that. So we had an unbelievable team, and it was really good success at the club.
Definitely.
And then I've had some good success at the club I'm at now, Boreham Wood. So hopefully we can just continue this.
Yeah, we'll come back to that in a second about what you want to do going forward and your vision with Boreham Wood. But How important is it? Obviously, you talked about you were young when you first got first team experience, and you work with, I think, some young goalkeepers now. Even myself, I'm a young goalkeeper still trying to take it as far as I can go, working around some decent keepers. How important is it at a young age to get around people like yourself, people who have been there and done it, and to get that experience?
I think it's the best thing. It's the best thing for you, really. Especially at a young age, you really you want to be enthusiastic in your craft. You want to have that bit of gritty teeth about you, but it's always nice to have someone who's you can look up to, not necessarily as an idol, but someone you can just be like, if you have a question in training or something like this, you don't hesitate to ask. You can always learn. I'm still learning now, and I'm 31, so you can always learn at any age. But what I'll say is I was quite lucky, really. I had some good goalies at non-league level when I was coming through at Havant and stuff. So that was pretty helpful. And I had Alan Knight as a goalie coach for a season, which was, no one can say that, but not a lot of people can say that. Sorry. So which was quite good at an early age, but I went a different path, mate. I didn't really go to the academies. I went out and played as many games as I possibly could. But that for me, that was my way. That for me was the best decision for me. And I've basically done it alone and got a couple of tips here and there.
Right, we just had to move location, but we're back. And so the next question I was going to ask you, Nathan, was obviously to play at this level for a sustained period of time takes a lot of mental toughness, a lot of strong psychology. What would you say has been the number one aspect of your psychology that's got you through the tough times and performing so well?
It's a combination of a few things, mate. I think you've got to be mentally strong anyway to be a keeper. Everyone says that we're all different kind of breed, and it's true, because we're kind of a bit of like a lone wolf, lone soldier at the back there. If you make a mistake, it'll cost the team a goal, more or less. So I think just to be a keeper anyway, you've got to be mentally tough. I'll say just have a good group around you, like a family, friends, and having good teammates around you as well, which is always good. And obviously, never hesitate to ask a question. That's what I'll say to anyone who's beginning in our position. Is never ever hesitate to ask any question. If you're not sure of anything, just ask. I think that's probably a good way of going about it, and play as many games as possible, because that's how you get experience. That's the reason why I went and played at such a young age in men's football.
Yeah. What would you say as well? You've worked, like we've talked about John Miles when you were at Ebbsfleet. You've worked with many goalkeepers over your career. What would you say is the main difference between someone like yourself, someone like John, who makes it to this level, as opposed to someone who doesn't quite make it or almost makes it? What would you say the main difference is?
It's hard, mate. It's like, because obviously you've got to have. It's about luck, really, mate. In all fairness, it's all about being at the right place at the right time, and football's a horrible game.
Yeah.
People in it, everyone knows that football's a horrible game, because 1 minute you can be the best thing, and the next minute a new manager comes in and he doesn't take your fancy, and then before you know it, you're not playing.
Yeah.
So it's all about being at the right place at the right time. Like I said, just play as many games as possible, and just enjoy it, really.
What would you say is something that gives you the physical edge? Is it stuff you do in the gym? Is it nutrition-wise? Is it like certain drills you like to do? What's something that really keeps you focused in goalkeeping?
Everyone's different.
Yeah.
But for me, I have a desire to play at the highest level I can possibly go, and for me, that's to play in the Football League, which I haven't achieved yet. I am getting older, but I feel like I'm playing like, especially this season, I'm playing the best I've played in a good few years, to be honest. I've had to change the way my thought process of going into games. I've had to change the way I look, and that's just going through experiences from what happened last season and the season before. I felt like I wasn't playing to my potential, so I felt like I needed a change. So I in the summer, I thought, right, I'm going to have a good old go. I've got a year left in the contract. So I just decided, right, I'm going to try and lose as much weight as possible and try and give it a good old go this year. So I lost 3 stone in the summer, changed my nutrition fitness coach, who used to be my goalie coach at Ebbsfleet, Michael Jordan. So he helped me. It was a long process, mate. The first few weeks was tough, mate. Especially, I like my food in moderations, but going from what you can eat when you want, and I love a drink as well, but I've had to stop everything, mate. And for me to get to my end goal, it's absolutely worth it.
Yeah. And it's also interesting how people go through different paths. I've worked with Ben Killett before, and obviously he had been at a place like Norwich and I think maybe Chelsea, then he come to Braintree, then he got promoted with Hartlepool, now he's in League Two. So I'm assuming, like you say, that's a similar thing you want to do, get into the Football League. But what would you say is, like, you know, obviously there's many different ways of making it professional. What would you say is the best thing? To get game experience, to be around a number one, both? Or what would you say is mainly just getting games? What's the number one way of doing it?
I think it's a combination of both, mate, because when you're young, you want someone to look up to who's experienced and played the game, so you can get tips. And obviously you don't want to bother him too much, because obviously he's worrying about himself and he wants to play well. But obviously, like I said, just don't hesitate to ask the goalie coach or your fellow keeper. But yeah, I just think just train hard, just train when you can. Never hesitate to ask anything. And for me, it was just playing games, because that's how you get experience. Because when you make a mistake, no one likes making mistakes. It's one of those things. It's just human error. But you learn from it. Every time you do make a mistake, or every time you do something good, you always remember it. So you can always take that into the next game. So for instance, like you come out for a cross and it's like a day like today. It's wet, it's windy. You know from past experience, you know you're not going to come out and try and catch everything. Yeah. You know the ball's going to be a little bit slippery, so you try and come out and make some sort of contact on it, but get it away as further from your goal as possible. So you just got to try and get different types of experiences from when you're playing. But that's how I do it anyway.
How do you deal with like pressure? I'm noticing it myself, like starting to play in little stadiums with a bit of a crowd. Obviously at National League, you've got more of a crowd, and then even higher, it gets even more. How do you deal with like the fans maybe criticising? Obviously there's times where it goes well, but how do you deal with that pressure, especially as a goalkeeper?
It's tough, mate. It really is. Like I said, we're the closest football on the pitch to the fans. And if you make a mistake or you get criticised very, very quickly. But I think, like I said, we're a different breed. I think if you want to be a keeper, you've got to be mentally tough from the start anyway. And like from my experiences, I thrive on that massively. I really do. Like when things are getting tough, I feel like I can thrive on it. And that's, like I said, that's through experience as well. Yeah. Playing at such a young age in men's football, and playing in front of, like, maybe it wasn't a lot of fans. It was like 20 fans, 30 fans, probably not even that. Blind man and a dog probably, but. Like I said, at 15, 16, up to 18 years old, that can help you in the future when you get to 20, 25 and you're playing in front of 200, 300, maybe 400 fans. That will certainly help you. When I played at Havant was, at the time, were a big club. They literally just come off the back from an FA Cup dream playing Liverpool. Yeah. So there was loads of fans going to the game. Even though I was a substitute, there was still... You still take on the atmosphere. There were still players coming in on big wages. So you learn that. You learn your craft. You learn your trade. So that helps.
Are you someone who sort of advocates working on your weaknesses or doubling down on your strengths? Like, would you say practice your left foot a lot, or would you say just get really good on one side, things like that?
You've got to practice everything.
Yeah.
Every keeper's different. People like to do 10 volleys. 50 volleys and be like, yeah, cushiony, I'm done. Yeah. I feel like you have to learn your weaknesses, otherwise you don't get better. And the better level that you play at, you naturally get better anyway, because the strikers are better, the midfielders are better, the movement's better, and when you're in training, it's a hell of a lot quicker from when you're playing with kids and stuff. So that's one of the big things. But yeah, for sure, like, I try and work on my left foot and training. Like I play, me and Brennan, the goalie coach, we play head tennis every Friday. So Friday's like a light session. It's the day before a game. We've done all our hard work, and then on the Friday we play every Friday. always have a game of tennis. So I started serving with my left foot. Like, it's nothing big, but I just thought, do you know what, I'm just going to start serving with my left foot, and now I've got like continuously quite good at it now, and all I do is just serve with my left foot. But in a game, it might come down to a bouncing ball might come on my left foot, and I won't be hesitant to be like, right, I can actually strike a ball, not exactly go miles, but at least I can get a good connection it, because I've been practicing, even though it was only a bit of fun and training, but you never know, it might come to in the game where you might need it.
Yeah, definitely.
So I'll definitely say it's always good to work on your strengths because it makes you feel good.
Yeah.
But I'd say one of the best things to do is to work on your weaknesses, and just work on everything really.
Yeah, okay.
So.
And just a few more questions. If you were to, it's kind of similar, but if you were to start your career again, knowing everything you know right now, is there anything subtle, anything big that you would do differently in how you'd approach your career?
It's tough, mate, because I've always been one of them, like, renowned as like the best keeper in the league, and you should be playing a lot higher. But when I sit down and look back, and this is one of the reasons why I thought I really want to give it a good go this year, because that means I know I've gave it everything. Yeah. At least I can say I've gave it absolutely everything. I've done everything in my power to play at the highest level, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to go away and work on my fitness, work on the way I look, and change the way I eat and drink. And I think now I've done that, I wouldn't change my career path for anyone. It's like, obviously you do get a little bit of, not jealousy, but a little bit of just something there you think, maybe like, imagine playing in front of like 50,000, 60,000 every week, but that's every boy's dream, right? But like I said, I wouldn't change my career. I've had, at the moment, I've had a good career. I've had promotions. There's some players that go through their whole career and don't get promoted. Yeah. And I've been fortunate enough to have 3. I've played in 2 playoffs, lost in the final, I've lost in the semi-final. I've played at Wembley. I've played at some really, really nice grounds. I've played with some good players, and I've played against some good players. But yeah, for me, I wouldn't change my career path for anything, and I'm still going as well. Yeah. I'm still playing, which is the main thing.
Last couple of questions. Obviously, balance is a big thing. You know, balancing family life, balancing your personal life. The biggest thing I've noticed about you is obviously your commitment. You travel down to Boreham Wood from here every week, most days. Not everyone would do that, and I know you are a professional. That is what you do. But how important is having that state of mind? Because commitment's a big thing, isn't it? Discipline, all of that. You only get rewards if you work for it. How important is that to have that?
Like I said, everyone's different. Not because there's a few players that I know in the past that have got to move away from home, and they come back within a few months because they get homesick. Not every player can do it, but I'm fortunate enough that I have a good balance, life balance with family and friends, and I have that work ethic that I just want to train, and I don't mind travelling. That doesn't bother me. I don't mind the travelling at all, because I'm driving to something that I love doing. Yeah. I'm not getting up to go and work in a factory like I've done in the past, which is absolutely hideous.
So you've got the perspective,
waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning and working at 7 and leaving at 7 o'clock at night. It's disgusting. No one wants to do that. No one wants to travel for that. But when you're doing something that you love doing, you don't actually mind getting up early and travelling in and spending time away from the family, because that's part of my job. I remember my little one was born on a Sunday. I had a game on a Saturday, and I played the game on a Saturday. She was born late Saturday night, early Sunday morning, and within 2 days I was away. So she was 2 days old, and I was away playing Hartlepool, I think it was. So it was a long trip away. Within 2 days I'm away from my family already. So it does take its toll, but that's my job, and that's what I like to do, and I don't have any regrets of doing that. But obviously you do miss them, but it's my job at the end of the day. Yeah,
and that's how you sort of compartmentalise. You sort of say, okay, well, I want to be back with my family, but I'm focused on the task at hand.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Final question. Well, it's not really a question. Obviously, your intention for this season, obviously, it's head down now. You want to get into that Football League. That would be the best outcome for you. What do you think it will take to do that? Obviously, you're second in the league right now, doing really well. But what do you think it will take to do that?
A lot of hard work. togetherness, a little bit of rubber to green as well. But like I said, we're not really focusing at the end of the season. We're literally just at the moment we're just taking one game at a time, and what we do have is a good team spirit at the moment, and everyone is enjoying each other's company. When you get a team like that, it can be special. I've been in teams before where we've not had the best players, but we've had good team ethos, good hard work, and good camaraderie in the changing rooms, and we've been promoted before, so we're hoping that can happen again, but we're not thinking too far ahead, mate. We're literally just taking one game at a time, and we'll just see what happens.
Yeah, thank you. That's really good for your time.
No
Thank
worries.
you.
No worries.
Thanks
Pleasure.
very much. So I just had to film this little add-on at the end of this video. What a great interview it was with Nathan Ashmore. But I talked to him a bit afterwards, and I learned a few more things from him, which I thought would be really useful for this episode. So 3 things I really learned from Nathan talking to him afterwards. Number 1 is you don't always have to be doing hundreds of anything. That's hundreds of kicks, hundreds of catches. I do believe in things like, doing a set of whatever, like 10, 20, and you can't drop the ball and you start again unless you drop the ball. Things like that, I believe in that. But what he was trying to say to me is, you don't have to go 100 miles an hour in a warm-up or even in training sessions. Do what's necessary, do the quality. It's the quality that matters. But he said that once he did a warm-up and he just did like 1 catch, 1 cross, 1 kick, and he had he said a worldie, he had the best game of his life. So don't always look to overdo it and burn yourself out, because it's not whether you can do 100 kicks, it's whether you can do 10 quality kicks, So I've learned that from getting a hip injury. Don't go and do 1,000 kicks or 100 kicks and, think you're going to get better. You're just going to burn yourself out. You're going to burn your muscles are going to seize up. So number 1, don't overdo it. Number 2 is, if you are a number 2, like I am at Tilbury first team, he said, you know what, you're there to encourage the first goalkeeper. Yeah, you want to play, but it kind of flipped the switch in my mind, which said, you know what, I need to be there for Harry, encourage, support him afterwards, like go up to him even more. Not in a, fake way, but in a genuine, you're there because you want to make the first goalkeeper better. You're a team, you're a union. And then the third thing I really learned from him, which was actually kicking. He said, have a routine with your kicking, goal kicks in particular off the ground. He said he would do things like, throw the ball on the ground, and every single time it would be different. And I've learned from people like Rob Green over the years, have a systematic approach. For me, it's 5 steps back or 4 steps back and then 3 to the left. And he said if you do that, if you stick to that process, every kick you do will be the best it can be, and you follow through the ball, you don't stop at the ball, you follow through, then if you do it every single time, you don't deviate from that, you stick to a system, then your kicking will be consistent, it will be reliable, it'll be effective. And so they're 3 things I already picked up from Nathan, just talking to him afterwards. And, for me, I've learned how powerful it is to be around someone who is so much better than you. And it just brings you on, even an interview, just being in their presence, to have an aura around them, these people. And my goal is to interview even more people, go even higher, people like Lucas Fabianski, that's the goal right now. But I hope you did enjoy episode 3. And if you did, give it a thumbs up, click subscribe so you don't miss the next episode and many more episodes to come. And I hope you enjoyed this episode of Keeping It Out the Net. And stay tuned for episode 4. It's going to be a great one.